about home. They're married to real estate.
Hey, welcome everybody. It's the Friday before Thanksgiving 2023. Oh my, we got here, which is really, really amazing. And so today we're going to start out with having a little conversation with the Marys, right?
Yep,
Marys,
absolutely.
Yeah. Mary, tell us about your fantastic project that you just completed.
I'm so excited. So we did blessing baskets, and it's part of, the real estate group that I am involved in, and an agent in Maryland. She started it, and then we were challenged to join in this year through James Shaw. And so I took it on my first year, and it's blessing baskets. So it's basically Thanksgiving in a basket, non-perishables, and then a gift card to a grocery store for the turkey. And so the schools in Westford sort of didn't have a need, but I decided I'd reach out to Clear Path New England, where we had the dog trainer, I forget his name, on here on our podcast
for
last
the veterans.
year. For the veterans
out of Fort Devens.
Yeah,
yes.
So Clear Path New England, I contacted them, and then also the Veterans Liaison here in Westford. And, I said, I don't know how many baskets we'll get, but, and they're like, we'll take 25. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. We ended up with 147. The generosity.
You never do anything small, do you?
No, the generosity of the community is just mind-blowing. So, I can't wait to do it to next year and 10x it,
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. No, and it was not just me. I mean, I had other agents in the office. They sent it out to their people. It wasn't about me, having a basket event. It was about getting as many baskets as we could for veterans.
So when you deliver today to Devens, make sure if they're pulled together, make sure you get some video or something so that we can send it around.
Yeah, we did some photos that night because one of their coworkers, she and her husband and her son filled up their SUVs to the top with all the baskets.
Oh, yeah.
And I just have a few residuals, so I'm going by there today because they start handing out on Monday. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And real estate, did you get a listing? Did you get your house under contract yet?
No, we dropped the price.
Good.
So, we're ready to move. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
Good.
and I picked up a buyer referral from our other Mary.
Oh.
And put an offer in last week, but we didn't get it. So,
Okay. Okay.
But still doing real estate every day.
Good. Terrific.
Yeah. And what about you? You've been busy with...
I'm so surprised. I did a referral to this guy in Watertown. I was raised in this town called Watertown, and next to Cambridge and Massachusetts. And I had this strange property to refer for a seller.
You mentioned it, I think.
Really strange. And right in the middle of Watertown Square. And I found the right agent. He's under contract.
That's amazing.
It was fast.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
People have been eyeing different of these commercial residential properties there. So it was really, really good.
Well, I can't wait to see what they do with it.
Isn't that fun?
Yes,
that's
so
really
fun.
So fun. So anyway.
So Mary, tell us about our guest today.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy to have Dr. Imani Woody joining us today. And I say it with deep affection.
You can feel that in your voice.
Deep affection. Look at her smile.
Yes.
The nicest smile in the world. And Imani and I met many, many years ago, at least 2003, but maybe sooner. Maybe sooner.
Yeah.
But we got connected at Toastmasters while we both worked at AARP in Washington, D.C.
Ah, okay.
And I've been keeping my eye on this woman for a long time. Didn't she run out and get a PhD right after that?
Oh, wow.
It was
All right.
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Run out and get one.
I mean, Dr. Imani Woody.
Yes, doctor. Right.
And I love you, Imani Woody. I love you. And I follow you on social media. And so we get to share you with our listening group today. And we get to use this podcast to just spread around what you've done, what you're doing, and what the next path is going to be like. So I'm so happy to have you here. And Imani is a pioneer, I believe, in the whole area of housing, nonprofit management. She has spent several decades representing and influencing organizations all over Washington, D.C., and just really, really powerful. But I know you most, Mary, for all the the postings you did on Mary's house in Washington, D.C. So I'd love it if you could tell us about your mission there and how it has evolved. And then we'll get you. We'll follow up with all kinds of fun questions, okay?
Wow.
The good stuff.
Thank you, Mary and Mary. You might know that that name Mary is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Mary's House for Older Adults. In honor of my mom, who was a Mary.
Oh, there you go.
Marys.
All right, you're our honorary Mary today.
You are now an honorary Mary, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, and I appreciate being on this podcast, Married to Real Estate. When I heard that, I just cracked up. I thought that was too cute, but I understood. Married to Real Estate, like married to your job, and you all do all this wonderful work and your award-winning podcast. Thank you for inviting me. So Mary, as Mary said, we met at AARP Toastmasters. Mary just took me under her wing, right? There, when you go to a big corporation, even though AARP is nonprofit, it can be daunting. And, you don't know where you stand and how you stand. But with Mary, I just stood, and she just, I was just under her wing and just kind of grew and thrived there. So Mary, I cannot even begin to thank you for that. Thank you so much.
So welcome.
Oh, I think I have a little allergies over that right
So, thank you, Mary.
So it's a treat to be here. I'd do it. You ask me, I'll come.
now. Wonderful.
So tell us about Mary's.
All right. So Mary's House was founded in 2012, and it was founded after for two incidents. One, my dad died, but before he died, he was in a upscale assisted living facility, and he had me there, my wife there, his wife there, and other folks who were there to see about him and advocate for him. However, the culture of assisted living facilities, nursing homes is not great. People just go about doing their work, and he was just like room 222. And his work as a minister and his work in the city, his work with children and all that, nobody cared. They just needed to get him fed and washed and all that. And so so we took him out of that so that he could transition from home. He went incontinent and came out incontinent. So that's one incident. And then about 2 weeks or a month later, a colleague of ours I learned that he had passed. And the backstory was that he was found, Mary's, 5 days later in his upscale Rockville or Chevy Chase. I get them confused, but in one of those upscale enclaves.
Right.
5 days later, right?
Wow.
And those two things were really kind of said, we need to do something about this. So the gentleman, and he was a colleague, so he was out in the world, and he still was found 5 days later, dead 5 days later. So social isolation is an equal opportunity disease, right? And so that's one of the things that we try to disrupt at Mary's House for Older Adults. So with my kitchen cabinet, I'm sure you all have a kitchen cabinet. We discussed this, and what should we do with the house that my dad left me, my childhood home? Oh, let's do housing. We thought we were going to do it in a year, right? We had people coming in to clean out the house, and no, it didn't happen in a year. 12 years later, we had groundbreaking in August. Our first brick and mortar house, Goldman Sachs and District of Columbia were two of our major investments. Construction costs of $11.6 million for 8,885 square foot site.
Wow.
So that in a
That's
nutshell
impressive.
It, Mary, it really is. We thought it was going to be $800,000 when we first started. We're trying to raise $800,000.
Wow.
And the construction costs we're talking about.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where is it located, Mary? Where did you start digging?
It's located in D.C. and by Fort DuPont section of D.C.
Wonderful. And who is going to live there? Who gets to live there? And what's their quality of life? I mean, you're going to try to deal with these isolation issues. How is the building structured for that? Is it? Tell us more.
Sure. So the design concept, it's a 3-story structure with a basement. 15 people will get to live there, 15
Units,
occupancy residential units. Over 5,000 square feet of communal and living space.
Nice.
The ground level will include common areas such as the kitchen, the reception area, the great room, the living room, dining room, the administrative offices, and of course a porch. In Washington, D.C., being a southern city, you gotta have a front porch,
your
right?
Porch. Where are you gonna have your iced tea and lemonade, right?
I love it. I love it. Good.
And the upper 2 levels include 7 living units, a game room, arts and crafts room, common areas for storage, laundry facilities on each floor.
Wow.
Amenities in the basement include an exercise room, quiet room. I mean, we're over 60, so a quiet room and community meeting space. And up on the roof, we're going to have an outdoor terrace with a vegetated roof, a Stonewall garden, giving a nod to the Stonewall riots, and the environmental friendly rooftop.
And it sounds lovely. And it sounds like a lottery to get in. How
that was my question.
Yeah,
How do you get to be one of the lucky ones?
Yes.
You know, we're working that out. So we're one of probably 12 units, 12 properties that focus on LGBTQ, SGL, same gender loving folk. We're the only unit that is communal, and this is small and is talking about building community. So out of those, so it's like 8 or 10 of these in the U.S.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Wonderful. I know you did a lot of research behind it. It sounds like it was quite a gathering of resources and intelligence in order to get this done in 12 years. But you had other facilities in between, right? Were you renting other buildings? Did you have other?
No, this is the first one. So when we say this is the first brick and mortar.
Yeah, I see.
So yeah. We know we can't build ourselves out of this, right? We can't ever, we have a housing crisis across the United States.
A shortage.
Right, well, you all know, right?
We know.
So we can't build this, and if we put in folks intersectionalities like race or socioeconomic, the housing gets less and less, right? And discrimination can get more, right? So, so we advocate, we educate other facilities, like the facility my dad was in, cultural humility. People say cultural competence training, but I don't think you can ever be culturally competent. I think I learn something new every day about somebody, including
Right.
Black people. So, but we can have some humility around that and have some awareness of those cultures and become allies. So we teach that. So we increase the possibility of folks being treated well in spaces.
So, what are the special needs of the LGBT community around old age? What do I need to know about? Educate me.
Us.
Sure. So in a nutshell, in a nutshell, Mary, because I do this kind of training. Back in the day, you all probably were back there when we called this multicultural training. It was a week, and it has kind of simmered down to one day or a half day. So in this 20 minutes or less, I would do this in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And a little snippet of education. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, same gender loving. Same gender loving is the term that is used in the Black community specifically. It was created in the Black community because folks weren't down with lesbian, gay, bisexual, right? They weren't down with lesbian, gay in particular. So a gentleman created this word. So I say SGL, so the Black older gay folk who may not be out know that I see them and they come up to me.
Good.
And so those adults those folks came into adulthood at a very different time in the U.S. than today's kids. Today's kids are going to proms. They've got new pronouns. They're not screwing around, right? They say, I'm here, I'm queer, and that's it.
Yep.
Older people As many don't know that before the Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and openly serving in the military, that Eisenhower signed an executive order that made it possible for you to be kicked out. That mandated actually that you're kicked out of the military, right? And that you could then you would have a dishonorable discharge. You could lose your job, your children, your housing, even your life, right? And when we add the intersectionalities, as I said earlier, of race and socioeconomic status, especially in rental, housing, and obtaining real estate. We're not going to talk about redlining here or any of that. Right. Additional barriers can be cited because we're going to laugh a little. Given that we know about how these factors can impact aging, these elders and adults are more at risk for social isolation and nursing home placement. So there's a lot of work to do. Actually, they compared to the general population, LGBTQ plus SGL older adults are more likely to live alone and serve as a caregiver, but less likely to have children. And they're who are the default caregivers of adults, right? I was the caregiver of my dad.
Good point.
Yeah, if you don't have a next generation to care about who's going to do it?
What do you do?
Yeah.
Who's going to do it? So this gentleman said that he was a member of the cohort in one of my research projects. He's a gay man. He revealed that he lost over 100 friends during the AIDS HIV epidemic. So he says, I have new friends, but they're not the old friends. And we know about our old friends, our college friends, our friends. Right. We know how important those folks are. And just recently, a friend's dad died. And I was sitting shiva with her on 2 days ago, and her nieces were there. And the nieces said, aunties, they have no children. It's a gay couple, lesbian couple. They said they have no children. And the two nieces says, we'll be your children. We will take care of you during old age.
Wonderful.
Wow.
That's so heartwarming.
That is.
That right?
Yep. There's a need.
Well, it's the next generation. Yeah. It's a different mindset for sure. Yeah. More educated.
Yeah. So in a nursing home facility, do LGBTQ people experience more discrimination on the whole? Do you have a sense of that?
Yes, the answer is yes. Actually, there's a case. I don't know if it's been settled yet. I don't think so. But Lambda Legal took a case of a woman who was in a residential facility, actually, and she had been partnered for many, many years with a partner who died, and family swooped in, wanted the house, which is an ongoing story in LGBTQ plus elder living. So the family came in, wanted the house, and so the social services found a place for her. And she put up a picture of their son, and a resident said, "Oh, you and your husband must be really proud of that boy." And the woman said, "Yes, and it's me and my wife," and it went from sugar to not sugar very quickly. She reported it to the staff. Staff did nothing. And it became a case. I mean, she was verbally and physically harassed, and so that's an ongoing story that can happen in the lives of folks who are in not just assisted living homes, but in residences.
Right. I remember all the pension talk. Do you remember, when we were both at ARP, I think there was a lot of pension work around who was eligible for your pension benefit unless you were married, and that had to kind of play out.
Married.
You couldn't get married, right? So that had to play out there. But really, the socioeconomic piece of it is really amazing, because we know in families what happens when there's a piece of property.
You thought you'd never fight until there's money on the table.
Someone dies.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other piece of not having children, and that's really true. Not having children.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Haven't thought of that, and then, but not even to advocate for you like Imani's dad, or like many people we know.
Right.
Fascinating.
It is. Yeah. No, that's a whole untapped, unthought. Probably not very mainstream. Avenue of or byproduct of that. Where people don't.
Folks don't really. We don't. We're privileged in a way that we don't have. Many of us are privileged in a way that we don't have to think about it. Right. I don't have to think about who's going to take care of me. Hopefully, I have a son. You know, hopefully he's going to step up, right?
Yes.
You know?
I'm sure he will.
No, I'm kidding. My son will have.
What's his name? We're calling him out right now. Yeah.
We love your son. We love your son.
Right.
Right.
Because I don't have to think about that. I know that he will care for me, and my grands will care for me. But a lot of people have to. So that's a privilege. So often I teach about privilege. People say, I don't have privilege. I grew up poor. But each of us has privilege. Even people who are poor have some. There is some privilege, and just for people who don't have kids, they don't have the privilege of having their kids care for them.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Right. It's a really good point.
Imani, what can we do? We're two realtors here in Massachusetts. What can we do to expand the world's knowledge, or at least our community's knowledge, about these important issues?
Well, you could hire me to come into nursing homes, but I digress.
Is that what you want to do?
Is that what you?
Is that what
your
you
goal?
want to do?
I mean,
Yes, that's the goal, to hire to teach folks and educate real estate agents. There was a part. So I'll share this story. There was Mary's house where we were beginning to lease up, talking about leasing up, and so we hired this BIPOC property management organization, a small Black-run organization, to do it, and they have a lawyer who's on the DC bar and runs. I should have said DC bar. Who's on the bar and runs a committee that is in charge of real estate. I'll say it like that.
Okay.
And the guy was saying that we can't advertise LGBTQ friendly. We can't do that because that's it's not a protected class. You have to say equal opportunity. But he was saying that LGBTQ SGL is not part of that protected class. Well, and we were under the 45's administration. Mm-hmm. And so people were interpreting things quite differently than they interpreted them in President Obama's and President Clinton's presidency, right? And so this guy was saying, this guy interpreted it that way, and so that the small organization didn't know what to do. Wow, we want to put the rainbow there. We want to say, LGBTQ friendly, or affirming, or something. Mm-hmm. And it was a big fight, you all.
I bet.
So in your life as real estate agents, to just interpret the law that is inclusive of everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it is
the first big thing.
It has made an evolution into that, I would say, at least within Keller Williams. So we have a whole rainbow network that is closed only, so to protect people's privacy, and just those that, belong to that. And, you can be an ally of it, but that may be an interesting place for you to start.
Yeah.
Because it's agents from all over the world. We're global, our organization. So, maybe you could pop into one of their Zoom meetings or something.
Maybe you get an invitation to her.
I get an invitation.
Yeah.
Do you know who the lady? I used to listen to some of the videos or watch some of the videos when they started this whole program.
Is that different than the diversity? Because that's I can't. Her name escapes me right now. But we have a whole DEI division, and a woman that goes around. Julia Lachey is her name, mm-hmm. and she goes around and talks about diversity and equity and inclusion. But that's different than this. This is a network of the way that there's young professionals or whatever other interests that we have among Keller Williams. Mm-hmm. It's an interest group, and so it's agents. They call
them affinity groups.
Yep.
AARP. I was a member of the LGBTQ affinity group and the caregivers affinity group at AARP.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll see if we can connect you in with the Keller Williams people.
I would love that, because I think it would be good for you, I think, to get, and maybe work in places like DC that, or where you've already started, and they can help with that.
But you're in California now.
I am.
That sounds
Look at
nice.
her. Look at her.
We're supposed to get cold weather tomorrow.
She's in Palm Springs.
Nice.
Oh, la la.
La la. That's my encore, ladies. That is my encore,
I
right?
love
there.
it.
I love it too. You're a
Yes.
DC woman, born and bred, right?
Born and bred.
Born and bred. And
All
to
right.
be 3,000 miles away. I'm so happy for you. Who else comes to mind? Some other people come to mind, Imani, and I'll leave them off the podcast. But one of our friends is the head of nursing homes from Maryland, for-profit nursing homes in Maryland. And
Wow.
yeah, so I will connect you for sure. I will connect
Oh,
you.
that is so awesome.
Speaking of nonprofit, I mean, that's one of the, I've dabbled in it very little on the local level, and it's so hard to fundraise. I mean, where we're doing our podcast from right now is the Westford Community Access Television, WestfordCAT, and I'm actually the president of the board, and I find fundraising is so difficult, and I can't even imagine the scale that you've done to get, a facility breaking ground, and this is gonna be a reality, and that's amazing to me.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Thanks, Mary. It's amazing to me.
So that's great.
It is really, really good. So you've given me some thought, we can do connecting Keller Williams.
Yes.
I'll connect you with that ARP person. And then, I did diversity for a few years before I left. Were you gone? No, I left in 2008. And
Yes,
I did diversity with Dr. Purcell Stanford, for a few years.
I know Purcell, Dr. Purcell. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
yes. Awesome man. And so, and I occasionally hear from him, and now I give him a phone call. I assume he's.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I still think, and we'll connect with Purcell. How about
That is one of your true gifts, Mary, is
Yes,
connecting
it is.
people.
I am a connector
You
for
are.
sure.
She is a connector, and her heart is so good.
I
So,
agree.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so how did you get from DC to Palm Springs?
Okay, so the first time I went to Palm Springs, I was doing some kind of work thing. I want to say I don't know. I was doing some kind of work thing, and I said, I'm going to rent a convertible. I'm in Palm Springs. Why not? Right? So I rented a convertible, and I was riding down the street, Mary's, and I saw the mountains in front of me and the palm trees on the side. And I just kept riding. It was surreal. It was like I was on some backdrop for some movie. Oh my goodness. So that was the first, and every year I would come back until COVID. Even the first year of COVID I went. Second year we did not go. And I called my wife and said, the first year I said, we're going to move out here. She just says yes to me because that's what she does.
Hey, whatever makes the marriage work, right?
She doesn't. Yeah.
Yes, dear. Kind of
Yes, dear.
I love it.
Little did she know I was serious, and so we did buy out here. So
That's
we're here in our new home, and it's just fabulous.
And you lived in Brookland, so I went to Catholic University of America in
Yes,
Brookland.
yes.
But
Lived in Brookland.
Moni, the year I went was 1968. Martin Luther King had just been killed.
Oh,
The northeast section of DC was burned a lot. There's a lot of burned out areas there.
a lot of white flight happened after.
And a
there,
lot
too,
of white flight, and
Yeah,
it was a fascinating time to be there, and I grew so much.
Yes.
and
It's
Brookland.
it's so wonderful. And Mary, I heard you speaking about selling your house, and you had to put the price down. Well,
Yep.
when we sold our house, we had to put the price down. What the heck? I'm so sad. Was in terms of the real estate market not being able to give me what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's timing, it's buyers, it's opportunity. There's a lot of factors,
Yeah.
In this particular case, this client, we just went for it, sort of. She's going to end up making quite a bit of money, almost doubling what she bought it for.
Yes,
So
that's what we're seeing.
to drop it 20,000, is a lot of money,
Yeah.
but it's not in the scheme of what she's going to end up
That's
Yeah.
nice.
with. So that's good, but
It's truly location. It is, but it's also timing.
yep.
Timing, and we've
Yeah.
had let's see, a year and a half of 7% interest rates now,
And they bumped up over 8, and now they're trying to come down a little bit, which is good. So we've lost a lot of
Yeah.
buyers, and people got beat up during COVID times with, $100,000 over asking and still
Yeah.
not getting it,
And the expectations of sellers became very high then
Yes.
as well.
Very
Yeah.
true.
I want what the guy down the street got.
Yep.
Yeah.
And my house is always better.
Right.
It's always
Yes.
better.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's how we, as sellers, we would see that for sure. And so it is timing. I guess I don't know what the crystal ball says, but entry level home buyers still have a tremendous hurdle. People who are reselling, they have that equity that they can throw on the table wherever they go next. And so it's still a hard thing for the entry level buyers. Very, very hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yep. A lot of those properties, investors or flippers will outbid
Flippers.
them.
Yeah, they'll outbid them and they'll have cash.
Yep.
And they'll have cash for sure.
Yes.
So, do you have any questions for us? Anything, anything you want? Because I have one last thing I want to raise with you.
No, I'm just sitting here basking in the Maryhood.
I love
You can
that.
do that anytime,
Yes,
honey.
yes.
Just call us up and say, "I want to do it
I
again."
want to come back.
Yes.
Absolutely. I know we've only scratched the surface. So are you still fundraising for
Mary's house.
Mary's house?
Yes, we're still fundraising for Mary's house always. I think we really do plan to build a property in every state.
I love
and in
that.
DC,
Wow.
in every ward, in New York, maybe every borough, and I don't know how Cambridge is laid out, but we do
Yes.
want to, and we're talking small, this may be one of the larger buildings because we talk about communal housing, but, we're hoping that we can put in place where a person can bequeath us their house. And if it's a 4-bedroom house, it becomes a 4-bedroom Mary's house with some additional structure help, right? But
Yep.
Wonderful.
yeah, so
Love it. It's a big
and we
vision.
have we have this program called the Friendly Caller program, and that program, because we can't build ourselves out, and we found that during COVID, people were really isolated. So we send cards, we did drive-bys, we would call a person up and say, "Hey, Mary, we're going to be in Fort DuPont at 2:00 on Saturday. Are you going to be home? When are you going to be home?" And we would have them come on the porch or whatever and wave and bring
Good.
them PPE and food. Some people needed food cards, right? Giant cards, etc. So we still do that, and we make these calls. And our program is different. Like the government and some other agencies tried to do the same program, and they would have a staff person call
Right.
and say, "Hi, Miss Mary, how are you doing today?"
Right.
However, you're not going to really tell that staff person that, I can't get to the drugstore to pick up my drugs, or I don't have any food, those kinds of things. But you might Mary might tell Mary.
Yes. Right. Mary's house.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
Right. So so we talk about 6 degrees of, someone has to know someone. So our program is like referral, and we've got like 100 people on our rolls, right?
Oh,
Through
nice.
referral. And so, we look for volunteers, and we think everybody should be connected like this. It's just nice to get a call. I get a call on Saturday afternoons.
Lovely.
That's great.
Lovely.
Yeah, it feels good.
Beautiful. So behind you on the wall is a beautiful banner, and that is Imani Woody there. And Imani, please tell us about this award. This sounds fantastic.
Oh my goodness, it was fantastic. I was one of the recipients of the AARP's prestigious Purpose Prize Award. There were 5 other people in the United States who won this award. It was $50. I'm sorry, $50,000.
Wow.
And $10,000 more for the person who got the most votes. And so Mary's house, or I in Mary's house, got the most votes.
Oh, wonderful.
Got the $60K.
That's
I know
amazing.
it's and the organization gets I'm this is a plug for it, Mary.
Yeah.
So you just have to be 50 years old, have started a business. I think it has to be a nonprofit, and you started it after 50, and it's making an impact.
Wonderful.
on the world. And of course, it's a process. You know, they want your blood type and everything.
Exactly.
Well, they're going to vet because I actually I get the newsletter from AARP and I've seen that before where they put it out to everyone
Yes.
to submit
Yes.
for that.
To nominees, do you nominate
Yeah.
people or you submit
you
yourself?
can submit yourself.
Yeah, I see. Yes.
I believe
Right.
so. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm going to look for it again, read my news bulletin a little more carefully next time.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
so
absolutely
wonderful.
awesome. And that it's what I'm so thankful for is that AARP. Mary's House is a small organization, right? We are the tiny engine that could. We're hiring our executive director on probably Monday.
I love
And
it.
we
Oh,
have
wow.
one staff or program manager that runs the villages, and then we have a working board. But we're tiny, and AARP looked at the impact and other stuff, looked under your dress and everything. But
Let's hope not. Literally.
and we were in the running and we won. So that was just awesome.
That's
Awesome.
fantastic. Congratulations, because
Awesome.
that is quite an achievement.
Well, you have a
Beautiful.
huge fan club, and you just do, and it's well deserved. And it is a pleasure to
Yes.
see you again after all these years.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you,
And if
Mary.
people-
Mary, nice to see you.
If people want to get involved with Mary's House, where do they do that? How do they do that?
Sure. www.maryshousedc.org
Okay.
or info@maryshousedc. I'm trying to do the email, info@maryshousedc.org. Correct.
Okay.
Good. Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Well, we'll post that too,
Yes.
and our plan is to do as much as we can to promote this. But will it initially be on YouTube and a few other places like Buzzsprout and things like that?
Yep. It'll go out to all the regular podcast places.
And we'll send you the link.
Yes.
Yay.
And thank you so much, and have a beautiful Thanksgiving, and to your
Oh,
wife
you
as
too.
well.
Yes. To your whole
Thank
family.
you.
Your son,
To
too.
your
Your son too.
Bye,
Bye, Imani.
Imani. Thank
Take
you.
care. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.